doing? Today we're going to be making gorditas. Gorditas are also known as little pockets. It's basically a bread. You can make they stuff it with anything they want, lunch meat, cilantro, onions, whatever your favorite type of hoagie is. You can also use it like I do. I get tired of eating white bread, and I switch over to this version. Okay, so here we go. Now, we're going to start with something that's called masaca. It's in the Hispanic section. If you shop at Walmart, it's in the Hispanic section. If you shop at another store, it's in the ethnic aisle. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 cups of masaca. This is not white flour, this is corn flour. Don't use cornmeal like you would for cornbread because it's too thick and gritty. Masaca is finer, like white flour. It's gluten-free, so if you can't have gluten, this is the perfect little roll. It takes a few minutes to make it and has 3 ingredients. 2 cups of masaca, or corn flour. We're going to take a teaspoon of baking powder. Now if you notice on the baking powder, if you didn't ever notice, there's a metal rim right there. That's so you get a level spoon. You're going to scrape the spoon right up there on the metal thing. It levels it off. So it's 1 teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to mix that up. Baking powder is used to give the bread a little lift. Okay, so we got that mixed up. We're going to add about half a teaspoon or more, or none. Should have a little bit though, but if you can't have it, leave it out. Mix that up. Now, we're going to start with, it takes almost 2 cups of water, or just about. Corn flour is very absorbent. Regular white flour, other flours, are not as absorbent. So this just sucks the moisture right up. We're going to pour it around. 1 cup gone. Mix it up. You'll see right away the liquid's gone. Okay, but you can see it's starting to make a nice little consistency there. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I wear gloves when my hands are in food. If you don't have gloves, just make sure you wash your hands, scrub under your nails, all that before you go digging your hands in people's food. So with the other cup of water, we're going to add about half of it. See how it comes up? We're going to mix it up, and it should be just so that it forms a ball, not dry powder. Get all the powder. It smells so good. It smells like fresh corn. Okay, we're going to do that. Now what we're going to end up with would be a nice sized ball. A little more water. You see there's more powder down the bottom. We want to get all that absorbed in. So just a splash. Now if you like other flavorings, if you like oregano, basil, you can add whatever you want to this. If you want it even puffier, you could add an egg. But the traditional recipe is just 2 cups of masaca, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon or so of salt. Start with 2 cups of water and go from there. Now I used about 1.5 cups of water, and this is perfect. Okay, scoop up the rest. There we go. This is how it should be. Okay, now what you can do is, this is what I do. Break a piece off. Okay, a little bit smaller than a baseball. You're going to pat it down. The edges might look a little dry, so just go around with it, pat it down. And this is going to be to about a thickness of about ½ inch or more. Okay, now this is going to be deep fried. The other way people make gorditas is they'll take a little less dough, roll it in a ball. Now this is a tortilla press. Okay, relatively inexpensive. I picked it up at Save a Lot for 12 bucks. You have to use plastic if you're going to press it, otherwise it will literally stick to this. You can spray it with spray all you want, it's just going to stick. You put the ball right down the bottom using plastic, stick it there, put that down. This is how this works. You're going to put this flat lid down, and the handle is used for leverage. Push it down, not all the way down or you'll have a tortilla. Let's see how it looks. A little bit more. Press it down. Lift it up. Voila. We have a gordita. This one's bigger, flatter, but when you cook it, it'll puff up in the middle. See the difference? This is thinner. It'll puff up in the middle. I like this because, especially in the mornings, I'm hungry. I want something substantial. Well, anyway, so we're going to, you do the rest whichever way you prefer. Make one more, just to show you. Make a ball. Push it down. If you want to use a rolling pin, knock yourself out. This is just a lot easier. Okay, here we go. We've got two. Try to make them about the same size, otherwise one will be done cooking, the other won't. Try to make them about uniform in size. 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. Also, these can be baked. You can bake them in your toaster oven for about 15-20 minutes. You can bake them in your regular oven 15-20 minutes. But one thing is, they're very dry looking. They kind of look like an arid or a very dry desert. What you see on the ground, all the cracks in it. And it's good. If you can't have it deep fried, that's fine. But I think deep fried is the best. So we're going to go fry some up, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, we're here at the stove. I have an electric stove, so I have a diffuser to catch any oil that may fall off. It also protects my electric stovetop. I use cast iron. You can use a lot of oil to cook it quicker. I generally just use, you can use olive oil, vegetable shortening, whatever kind of oil you use to cook in is just fine. Don't have to be anything in particular. Okay, we're going to let this heat. How you can tell when something is ready to cook in is take a little piece of bread, just a little crumb, little tiny pinch off a piece of bread, and put it in the oil. If it starts bubbling around that little piece of bread and it starts bouncing around and you notice within, say, 15 seconds it gets brown, that's how I always test my oil. Alright, so we're going to let this heat up. Okay, we're back. Now, like I said, here's a little tiny piece of bread, very tiny. We're going to drop it in the oil. It's bubbling. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's bubbles are dancing all around it. So we're going to get our gordita, and we're going to very carefully set it down in the oil. Just to protect my nails, I just always make sure I set it down there, and then let it drop down. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that cook for about 4 minutes on one side. I hear it crackling, that's a good thing. Alright, so we're going to let it cook for about 4 minutes on one side, and coming back, and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, about 4 minutes have gone by. We're going to flip it over. Turn it over. Whoops, the splatter guard. It lets air through, so no water droplets will create and cause the oil to freak out. You get it at the dollar store, or pay more for it. Put it over top, you don't have to worry about splatters all around your stove. Okay, so we'll come back 3-4 minutes and see what's going on. Okay, so we got about 4 minutes past, just about. Oil's getting even hotter. We'll flip it over. Beautiful. I'm going to flip it back over. I like to use 2 forks because it gives you more control. You don't want this thing splatting oil on you and all that. You're going to have a plate ready with some type of filter. I use coffee filter sometimes. I don't like using paper towels for that. So many loose fibers. You can also use an egg carton. Anything that allows this oil to drain. I'm going to shut the stove off. And we're going to pick it up with the fork carefully. Put it right here on the plate. Now, when you're done, you're going to let this cool off before you cut it, because it is super, super hot. Be really careful with oil. So this is a gordita. This is basically a roll. So I'll show you, we'll cut it open using what I have at hand, a butcher knife. We're going to cut it right in half. Ooh, And there you go. That's your bread. It's beautiful. Look at that. Beautiful. Has a nice air pockets in it. It's crunchy on the outside. Let me see. Oh, that's so good. I can put mayonnaise on it, avocados, cheese, eggs. Make a meat sandwich out of it. Whatever you like. All right. Enjoy.